Today, I have with me someone who has worn many hats with equal passion: a leader, a humanitarian, an educationist, and a true visionary. He started Atharva Educational Trust 25 years ago with a dream, and that dream has now become into a full fledged university. And he has not just been supporting Martyr's family, but he has also been a staunch supporter of girl education. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Sunil Rane. Sir, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Sir, it's a remarkable privilege for me to host you today, being a part of the Atharva University's family, and I am so glad to have you with us. Sir, your life has been a remarkable journey. You had a dream 25 years ago. You started at the Educational Trust, and today you are here and we are sitting at the full fledged university. What were the some shaping stones which helped you pave your path till here?
First of all, let me tell you the making of educational institutions in Mumbai was not an easy task. And we were talking about when we have started Atharva in 1999. That was the time when we were having our government, where we used to always say that BJP and Shiv Sena government that time, where late Gopinath Mundeji was the deputy chief minister, even my father was the minister for education. But even though it was not a good idea to have educational institutions in Mumbai, because Mumbai being the costliest city in the world, the cost of the land to be purchased in Mumbai was extremely difficult. Somehow the government used to have the schemes that the educational institutions to be promoted. So government used to give lands that time and previous those years also. So we could have tried that. Then we have started setting up the one institution which came up as Atharva College of Engineering in 1999. So 1999, the first batch graduated in 2003, and from 2003 to 2025, almost if we can talk about 22 years. So that means every year there is a batch. And there is a batch of students who came in over here to become an engineer. 2003, 2004, we started management studies, MBA, MMS preferably, which has been recognized by Mumbai University. And then 2005, hotel management, 2009, fashion, then 2010, IT. And it keeps on growing day by day, day by day. And we came up to film and television, then mass media communication, journalism and many. I remember those days when government of India used to promote CDAC. Now what we could talk about artificial intelligence, we talk about machine learning. That was the time when government of India have introduced CDAC. And those were the days when students would have not got admission in engineering. They used to opt for a CDAC. So that way the engineering education have been prospered in Maharashtra and all over India. And I remember those days when there was no building, then the building came up. It was a hell of a lot struggle to build the buildings in Mumbai, and especially to take a theme of next 25 years. When I remember when I have started this particular educational institutions in 2001, where we are sitting at present in Malad, I thought of 25 years ahead, how it could look. After 10-15 years, we'll have a scarcity of a land because the buildings will get packed with the number of students in a different streams. So we thought of going ahead. So I took a dream in 2001, what will happen in 2025. So I feel it was a difficult task. But again, I'm thankful to those people. Those were the leaders who had promoted education to be done, education have to be brought in with a qualitative infra. Qualitative infra means we remember when we used to go to the schools always used to have bigger places and the bigger spaces. But the time has changed and the schools have been already, because of the scarcity of the land, schools became very small. The colleges became vertical. And to make a campus in Mumbai was a challenge. But I feel in last 25 years, what we could have reached up to the level or the destination, which was purely based on efforts, hard work, dedication, sincerity and loyalty towards the field of education, where we feel that we should give the best education to the students of tomorrow's India. And we should build the leaders not only to give education, which was a dream, which dreams to bring into the reality. It was efforts and energy, means to work with the energy till the last drop of energy to build the infra, bring the technology, get the faculty members, train the faculty members, bring the industry, give them the confidence the product what we are going to develop will be one of the best product what you could be in a position to sustain for many years with that particular human resource. And I feel that what we have started in 1999, we say almost that we completed 25 years, but we completed more than 27 years into the field of education.
That's one of the moving ways to look back, sir. But when you started 25 years ago, and did you ever imagine you started with the aim of providing quality education accessible to everyone? But did you ever imagine it turning into a full-fledged university which is now literally shaping thousands of lives around?
No, it was, of course, the policies which has been set up by the government that time. And that time, always the government used to say that you have to go through the accreditation process, then the AICT, then the government, then the directors, state governments. University was there. It was not there. It was not a question like that. There were universities. But universities which has been prompted now after say 2014 onwards, the entire diagram of the educational system has been changed. And the diagram, or we say the entire scenario of education has been changed because of the private universities have entered into it. Previously it was deemed universities, then private universities came, then the autonomy as far as the state governments are concerned has been given. Of course, I have not thought that time that we will make university or we will become an university. But when we have taken into the consideration the thought process that research, technology, innovation was my first foremost important criteria for the education. When I have started in 1999, that time also the time was for production engineering, instrumentation engineering, sandwich patterns for the mechanical and production. But I have chosen a path thinking ahead that we'll have a technological base for the India. And India will go technically and technologically very far as compared to the other countries. We always used to say America means USA, China, Russia, Korea, France, Japan, Germany. And that was the time when we always used to take this kind of a names or this kind of a numbering for the countries. But now the time has changed because we understood about 25 years back, India will come into the first five because the intellectual capital of India in terms of the students are very high. What we don't believe, but if you go into the educational systems, you feel that there are so many colleges, so many universities, and especially the children from India, children of India, they have intellectual mind. And that's why this intellectual mind to be nurtured, well groomed and placed in front of the international educational scenario. And that's why what I feel is what we have chosen is computers. We have chosen that time electronics, telecommunication, digital electronics, industrial electronics. And then slowly, steadily we went into the internet. Means we know that internet things, IoT, which came into the process just now. And automatically when we were talking about the digitalization, the process have been started or initiated 25 years back. So 25 years back, we have taken a dream of making colleges and institution out of the box. So I think making of university was not a dream. The dream was making one of the best institutions in India, those who are really creating the space for the students into the industry. As well, the students should learn, they should do better, best with the technological and technical support what we could get in.
Incredible dream, and just imagine at the scale of impact. Sir, as we say, all the gardens come with its own thorns. For sure, like every person has their own struggle. What was the struggles you faced initially when you were establishing Atharva, and how did you turned it around in your favor?
No, initially, which I told you that to establish institutions in Mumbai was, of course, a difficult task. But they were, when you have a dreams and you have to chase those dreams in the daylight, of course, it's difficult. There were permissions, there were the land issues, then the building, then the permissions, then the funds. I remember those days when I used to run pillar to pillar to get the funds, to go to the banks and ask them to fund to the institution. They used to say that you do not have a track record, how can we fund you? And the time came that when we started establishing one by one colleges, and then they start understanding that Atharva means a real professionally they are doing the systems, educational system what we have built. And of course, there were so many difficulties. Means, if we name one, there were Mumbai. We were in the suburbs, so there were hutments on the road. There were nalas which used to go across the Atharva's main buildings. So everything has been taken a lot of care. It's like creating a small city into the place where you couldn't even imagine what you are going to build. People used to laugh and they used to say that how can you build educational systems over here when there are so many hutments, there are people, those who used to come over here from Mumbai. Malad was not a destination that time. Of course, Juhu, Andheri, Borivali was very well-known destinations. But in the suburb, Malad, people used to say, where is the Malad? So that time when we had started 25 years ago, and now we could look up to Malad, it has been entirely a different demography. And I feel there were difficulties, obstacles, barriers, and all those barriers we have to cross over. And all those barriers we have crossed over. Of course, there were so many people who had supported us. And ultimately, what I could remember, the support which has been given by the students and their parents, which was ultimate. Means the students, I remember those days when we were not having buildings, we were constructing buildings, and a student used to come and ask me, sir, when the labs will be ready, when the library will be ready. And one after another, we started completing in a record time. Means if you could see the Atharva's at present campus, I feel in 25 years, of course it takes a time. Any buildings, any infrastructure, anything cannot be done very quickly in a year's time. Even though we could see metro, it takes years and years. If you could see bridges, it takes years and years. The same way infrastructure cannot be built on a single note, or it cannot be done just giving a speech that infrastructure will be made. So infrastructure, of course, it takes a time. And we made infrastructure with a digitally connected. And I feel this is digitally connected infrastructure has got tremendous impact on the field of students' development, their education, their connectivity. And we had done remarkably research programs. Since 2016, when we completed, we initiated the progress of creating the satellite antennas, which was a project for IIT Mumbai along with Atharva. The first satellite of students which went into the skies for the space, which has done with a lower orbit. The systems have been developed by the IIT Mumbai and Atharva, which took almost 11 years. So 11 years to work in a synchronized methodology by the students, it's not easy. So anything to be done in education sector with a dream, with a passion, of course with a time. But we do here with a time, velocity and speed. And which these three combination, I feel Atharva in 25 years is a brand which every student who comes over here is a responsibility of ours to give them the one of the best education which they comes for.
No wonder you are a true visionary, a man ahead of your time, and an educationist. And to be very honest, as we all know, you are not just an educationist, you have been deeply involved in political and social causes. How do you balance being a leader in both the worlds, from education to social to political at the same time? and without overpowering either of them?
See, two things, not only education, but education, politics, and a social cause. Means I always believe what you have a capability or capability is what you blend with all your ideas, all your efforts, all your hard work. Important is how you balance your time and what kind of a dedication you are thinking of giving it back to the society. Means we work continuously in education field. Last 27 years I am doing it, and single-handedly thinking what we should do, what we should create, how infra we should make it, what kind of a technology we should bring in, whether from India, whether from abroad, how the students would be benefited out of it. Politically, I am connected. Of course, I was MLA also, and I am working for the political party, which is BJP, since last 27, 28 years. So politics is one where you'll have to continuously keep on doing many things. You have to be on a 24 by 7 on a alert mode. We have a very good terminology called corporate social responsibility. Every company, every field must be doing it. But I do it little out of the box. I love to do out of the box ideas, which everybody knows that I have done since last 15 years. I am doing it for the martyrs. Why we are here, why we are survived, I am saying survived, because our soldiers, to keep our country safe, day and night they protect you and me. So they give their lives. They never say that why I have to die for you people. So they never say that I have to protect my country, why I should give my life. But without asking, without telling anybody, he is posted over there or she is posted over there on the borders. Whatever the conditions, whether it is plus 50 degree or minus 50 degree, whenever we see that Siachen borders, we see all our soldiers are giving their heart out performances, their life to protect you and me, that we could do all those things. So my heart always goes out for the soldiers, and we keep on doing many things, especially for the martyrs after giving their life, after receiving the martyrdom by that particular soldier. I go to their villages, I go to their houses, I meet their families, and I create a system where the small daughters of the soldiers to get better education, best education. Of course, any government comes into the power, soldiers' cause have been taken up by this country. And every government supports. Of course, the government which is now, which looks after the government's roles in much more better way towards the soldiers. But still, we have a responsibility. When we have a capability, when we have a patriotic feeling, I am doing it since last 15 years across the borders, across the country, reach to the destination where nobody thought of going into, those deep areas, whether it is valley, whether it is mountain. I go meet the soldiers' families, especially their small daughters, and we try to educate them. As we all know, the people, those who are living in the cities, for them the computer is very easy. For them to buy computer, laptop, iPads, mobiles, very fancy mobiles are very easy for them. But a soldier who gives a life for the country and his photo is there on the wall, and when you go to his house and when you see his small daughter, and she is also trying to learn, but the conditions are not so helpful. And when you reach out with that small girl with a computer, the imagination of her satisfaction and how she feels joyful getting that computer right in her hands, to think about the digital India, to think about digital education, to think about innovation, what is happening in India. And that small daughters are started getting education. We supplied more than 450 computers right into the doorstep, right into the hands of the daughters of martyrs of this country, whom we feel it is our responsibility.
That's one of the remarkable approaches. And as you said, you have been closely involved with martyr families, army families, and also you have been a staunch supporter of girl education. What inspires you to keep such causes so close to your heart?
There were times then I used to travel to many areas. When I have traveled to the place called Haldwani in Uttarakhand, there was one of the best soldiers of Indian Army called Lance Naik Mohannath Goswami, whose daughter uh, was almost 6 years old when I met her. And I think about 2 years back when I met her, her father had given his life for the country, was one of the best commando Indian Army had ever produced. And he was the one who has got Ashok Chakra after his martyrdom. And when I was talking to that girl, when she was hardly 6 year old, and she was talking about her father, the photo was in her hand. And Uttarakhand, where they used to stay on the hills, a small house. And then I could ask her that time the questions. And she used to answer in such a way as I could see in her eyes the dream to become one of the best soldier for the country. And I feel that we should means we should extend the support to these martyrs' daughters in such a way that India should feel proud, because these daughters have a history. These daughters, and there are so many sons also, they have a history of their fathers. They were brilliant, they were brave, they have sacrificed their life for the country. Their valor, their sacrifice have to be remembered by the Indian citizens. So we should reach up to them and we should get inspired and we should motivate others, the students, that even though we become big or we become industrialists or we become tycoons in any fields, why this is happening? Because there is somebody who's giving their life for India to progress. And that's why I feel we should get inspiration from these soldiers, from the martyrs, from their families. And you just imagine somebody's father, somebody's husband, somebody's uncle, somebody's mama, somebody's brother who had given the life. And it's not easy. So education systems have been built on many pillars, but I feel one of the important pillars what Atharva should be recognized is the pillar of patriotism, which is very rare to be seen. And I feel Atharva's pillars, whatever pillars we say, technology, whatever we say, the best of the education by curriculum, we could say about the systems what we could bring in. But important pillars of educational system what we follow is the patriotic feeling in the heart of the students.
That's one moving way and actually tells us that education goes beyond books. And with that, we wrap up our session one. Please stay tuned for the part two. Thank you.